Welcome. In this guide we'll take a look at how single-minded Fury Warriors works. Without any further introduction, we're gonna jump straight into it, looking at the talents. The talents are fairly straightforward. Double Time or Juggernaut are both good options. Here I personally prefer Double Time. Second Wind, since it's passive and very powerful when you actually drop that low. Also impending victory cost rate, so it's not really worth using as a DPS tool. Disrupting Shout is it's a flavor glyph, I would say. Take whatever you need. Dragon Roar if you're fighting a single target boss. Bladestorm if it's an AoE fight. Vigilance if you wanna give the tank 30% damage reduction. Otherwise you should use Safeguard. Bloodbath, since it provides you with the biggest DPS increase. That was the talents. Let's take a look at the glyphs now. The target, I suggested you use Glyph of Unending Rage, Glyph of Recklessness, and Glyph of Death from Above. If you're bad at using Heroic Leap, then I suggest that you take Glyph of Bull Rush instead. For AoE glyphs, I suggest that you use Glyph of Death from Above, Glyph of Raging Winds, and if you have to put Weakened Blows up, then use Glyph of Resonating Power. One of the biggest changes for the Mr. Pandaria Warrior is how we generate rage, so we're gonna look at that now. One of the main ability, or actually the main ability to generate rage is Bloodthirst. Every time it hits, it generates 10 rage. If you get parried or the Bloodthirst misses, you get 0 rage. So be sure that you have 7.5% hit and 7.5% expertise and stand behind the boss so it hits every time. One of the other ways to generate rage is through Enrage. When your Bloodthirst crits, you get enraged, or when your Colossal Smash crits, you get enraged. That also means that crit is now one of the most important stats for us, because when we get enraged we also do more damage. So stacking crit is the way to go in Mr. Pandaria. The last way to get rage is through our stances. Battle stance, you get rage every time you hit with your weapons. Defensive stance, you get 1 rage every 3 seconds. And Berserker stance, you get rage when you hit with your weapons, but also when you take damage. If you're in doubt, always use battle stance. If you know the fight, and you know when you're gonna take a lot of damage, then use Berserker stance when you're gonna take all the damage, so you get more rage. But yeah, battle stance is the easiest, and you don't have to think about it. If you wanna know more about it, then read this slide, and it should explain to you how much rage you get. Looking at the stats here, you can see that I'm going to cap expertise and hit with 7.5%. After that I'm going crit, strength, mastery, hit and haste. I don't think hit and haste are that good stats, simply because they don't seem to go that well. I mean, even if you increase your hit and haste, it's gonna be a little bit more rage, assuming you're in battle stance all the time. But it's not gonna be that much. Where if you increase your crit, you're gonna get a higher uptime on Enrage, which means that all your attacks will do more damage. So that's why I think crit is so good. So stack that crit. Also, as I forgot to say, Bloodthirst, it doubles your crit. So if you have 20% crit, that means that your Bloodthirst have 40% crit to actually crit, giving you double rage whenever it crits and proccing Enrage. So another reason why crit is really strong. Well, it's probably the main reason actually. Regarding enchants, I think there isn't really that much to say. Just read the slide, and those are the enchants I would suggest you to use. I'm not gonna go into details because I don't think there is a reason to do it that much really. Regarding gems, I think it's gonna be really hard actually, because we're not gonna have a sim that is that accurate. I'm personally gonna try to ignore most socket bonuses and just hard gem crit, because I think it's gonna be the best, but again, it's really hard to say without a sim. So yeah, I would suggest you to try to just hard gem crit, unless it's like very high amounts of strength or very high amounts of crit, obviously. But I'm not gonna say it's the right thing. Professions, if you're gonna be 100% player, then you need to go blacksmithing and skinning, which is kind of funny, but those two professions gives the highest crit. And for races, then Walk or Orc seems to be the best. And I've chosen Orc higher than Panda because the Orc is about burst, and the fights that you normally get stuck down are not sustained DPS, it's burst fights. and that's why I would always play a orc if I was Horde. Priorities. I would say that compared to how warriors have worked up till now, priorities works a little bit different. Of course it's the same where you have to prioritize some spells over others, but now you can control when you get enraged procs, roughly, and you can control when you're gonna get your Colossal Smash up. So we're still just gonna take a brief view of priorities, but it's not gonna be that much. There's two rotations. There's the above 20% and there's below 20%. The above 20% rotation, you want to use Colossal Smash every time it's up, and if it's not up, then you want to use Bloodthirst or Raging Blow or Wild Strike. Only use these if it's procs, which means that they cost 10 rage for Wild Strike, that is. You want to use Heroic Strike when you have Colossal Smash up, but if you don't have Colossal Smash up, you will never want to use Heroic Strike. And you should obviously always use Deadly Calm when you can with Heroic Strike. Other than that, use Heroic Leap and Heroic Throw whenever you can. These abilities cost 0 rage and they will increase your DPS. So it's just, I mean, if it doesn't cost rage, you want to use it. When you get to 20% and you can start using Execute, the priorities changes. It's still Colossal Smash, Bloodthirst just to get the enrage procs and the free rage of course, Execute, and then Raging Blow when you don't have Colossal Smash up and you're just pooling rage for the next Colossal Smash, but we'll see more about that later. I'm gonna skip straight into the rotation where it actually gets a little bit interesting, so here we go. I'm assuming the fight takes more than 5 minutes. The fight starts at 0 seconds. You're basically going in there, popping everything. Skull Banner, Deadly Calm, Recklessness, Bloodbath, and getting Colossal Smash up on the boss. After the Colossal Smash is up, you use Bloodthirst. If it doesn't proc in rage, use Berserker Rage. After this, use Raging Blow and Heroic Strike. If your Wild Strike doesn't proc, keep doing Heroic Strikes as long as you have Deadly Calm off. If you didn't use your Berserker Rage, don't be afraid to use it here, so you can get another Raging Blow in. When your Bloodthirst comes off cooldown, use it again. Straight after this, use your Dragon Roar, and after the Dragon Roar is used, you start basically pooling rage for the next Colossal Smash you do, only using Bloodthirsts and using the procs you have. If you have any procs right before your Colossal Smash comes off cooldown, don't be afraid to wait with using them, as long as you can use all the procs during the Colossal Smash. When your Colossal Smash comes off cooldown, you should have around 110-120 rates, so you're ready to use Heroic Strike on every global while your Colossal Smash is up. Other than that, use Bloodthirst straight after the Colossal Smash and use Raging Blow or Wild Strike if any of them proc. If nothing procs, use Wild Strike instead of Heroic Strike and aim to use all your rage while Colossal Smash is up on the boss. After Colossal Smash fades, start pooling rage for the next Colossal Smash. The 20 second and 40 second Colossal Smash are exactly the same. The 60 second rotation is like the 20 and 40 second one, except you have your cooldowns up for it. Also at the 3 minute mark, your Skull Banner will be up again, and it will align nicely with your other cooldowns. I personally don't save Berserker Rage for the 1 minute burst with all your cooldowns up, but I'm not gonna say if that's the best thing to do or not, but I don't do it. And I don't do it because then I get a higher enrage uptime using it on cooldown whenever I don't have enrage up. As you can see from this rotation, we're pooling rage a lot of the time, and then we're aligning our cooldowns and bursting during them. Let's take a look at the 20% rotation now. So when you're getting close to the 20% mark, you want to get your Shattering Throw up, and you want to be sure that you've saved your Berserker Rage, Bloodbath, Skull Banner, Recklessness, Colossal Smash, that you have around 110 rage, and that you have a pot ready. All of these things are important. So as soon as your Execute lights up, you want to put Colossal Smash up, pop all your cooldowns, and then you just want to execute. You can see that I use Berserker Rage here, and that's to avoid using Bloodthirst, so you're basically getting Execute in instead of a Bloodthirst, which does a lot more damage of course. When you're done with this, use your Dragon Roar, and then after that, start pooling rage for the next one. Just use Bloodthirst and use Raging Blow procs. Don't use Wild Strike procs, just Raging Blows. And that's how you do the first 20 seconds of the sub 20% one. When your Colossal Smash is off cooldown again, you want to use the Blood First straight after to get Enrage up, and then you want to execute 3 times. And then you want to start pooling Rage for the next one, again only using Raging Blows and Blood First. If it gets to a point where you can see that the boss is gonna die before you get Colossal Smash off, just use Execute all you can and burn all your Rage and try to do as much damage as possible. And that's the sub 20% rotation. I mean, it's not really hard, but one of the mistakes a lot of people do is that they get so excited that they forget to align their cooldowns up and they just execute all the time. And that's actually a waste, because that means that you're executing when you don't have Enrage up and you're executing when you don't have Colossal Smash up. And these two abilities, aligning those, it's so much damage. So watch out what you're doing in the last 20%. It's not hard, but you just have to remember it. I think we're at the end of the road now. I might point out though, if I haven't done it good enough, that when you're pooling Rage, then use any ability that doesn't cost Rage. Heroic Throw, Heroic Leap. Cast your Shout so you give it even more Rage. And other than that, just nuke when you get your Colossal Smash up. And other than that, just chill. I haven't really covered any AoE because, well, this took me long enough, so I'm gonna chill here. If you've seen any mistakes or there's anything you think I could do better, please point it out. This is the first video I make where I actually comment on it, so obviously that's not perfect in any way. Other than that, I want to say thanks to Charlotte for making all the pictures. That was really nice, and good luck to everybody in Tier 14.